Hey everyone, thanks for joining the channel today. Got a bit of a treat for you. So with summer coming around, I picked up this 13-pound pork shoulder roast, I guess you could say. And kind of one thing I've been doing for a while is taking these large kind of roast cuts, pork and beef, and taking them and pretty much disassembling them. That way I can stretch meals out for a few days and kind of reduce the need to go shopping quite so often. This one I picked up, at Costco, about $2.50 a pound. It can vary. Granted, you can also find, not as big roasts as I've seen kind of at some of the smaller grocery stores like H-E-B or Walmart, but they still have them boneless. So pretty much I'll start off, just kind of going through and cutting the roast into more manageable pieces. As far as like kitchen knives, or the knives that I'm using, I'm just using your basic, kitchen knife. I want to say it's like a Schmidt, if I remember right, but, it's nothing really too fancy. It's just, your average steak knife kitchen knife that you'll probably find, or have that's used for everything. And, one thing I do try to do is get off some of that more visceral fat. You can pretty much, cut big pieces of it depending on how much fat is on like the meat you're working with, and render down to like tallow, or in this case I guess it would be lard. But considering such a small amount, I'm probably going to save it, just fry it down to some cracklings. But you still want to leave some fat on there, considering that you still need quite a bit of it for cooking. The great thing about pork, I've noticed, is that it does have its own fat that gives more of the flavor. And like I said, I've been doing this for quite a few years. I think the hardest part when it came to grocery shopping is like having to go through the different cuts of meat that there are and see which ones look like they're not going out, or I should say not spoiling soon, because there are butchers usually at most of the stores that we work at, that we go to, and they'll go through and they'll kind of cut some of these roast and package them down into meat. And usually they'll have more sophisticated tools that they'll use, like bone saws, circular saws, but I find this is a good way to kind of take things like this cut here, even though it's not kind of a straight cut, I can still cut it at a bit of an angle. And you can choose pretty much the thickness you want. You can make it, half an inch, full inch, depending on what you want to do. Especially if you're going to be like doing things like grilling or roasting. It's nice knowing that you can pretty much kind of eyeball and cut the steak how big or small you want it. In my case, usually I'll pretty much cut them steak size, but my kids, they do still like to have their cuts of meat kind of chopped up anyway. So, but usually I think it's kind of more a visual thing for them. They see kind of the steak of meat or this large cut of meat, and it kind of it makes them hungry for more. So, and like I said, kind of being able to take things like this and pretty much do it and prep it your own. Yeah, it takes some time. It did take me maybe an hour or so or more when I was first beginning, just because I'm taking time to kind of look at the meat, figure out, where the cut is going to go. Because every shoulder I've gotten or paid or, bought, they're always different. I think whenever they take the pork, the pigs and cows, and prep them for the stores, not every animal's gonna have the same kind of cut. It's gonna be very different. But yeah, it's granted I probably could do this a lot faster, but usually since I'm using your kitchen knife, I have to kind of be a little more careful with the strokes that I do. Otherwise you'll get kind of this weird flay kind of ridges to it. I mean, it's not that it doesn't do anything to the meat. It's still going to be edible either way. I think it's just kind of more of a visual thing. But yeah, I think I think it was kind of closer to COVID where I kind of stumbled upon Meat Dad and the way he would kind of encourage, his viewers and just people in general just to try to save a bit of money, and kind of have a bit of autonomy and be in charge of the way that your meat is prepared and, other things like that. And, I kind of vibe with it, working from home and, having 2 growing kids. I think it's, it can be a little bit freeing for sure. But yeah, if anything, definitely shout out to Meat Dad. Without this, I probably wouldn't even thought that I could just take my own meat and kind of break it all down and kind of prepare things for my family, make things a little more easier on the wallet too. But yeah, as far as like cuttable steaks, it's quite a large size, and I am going to have quite a bit of, I guess you could say, kind of like spare parts, but that's kind of the great thing with porks. It's pretty forgiving. Any extra you can have, you can grind down to like sausage, ground pork, carnitas and stuff like that. But yeah, look at that. It's quite a bit of meat that, I'm going to be able to like freeze and save and use for the next few days, unless I get, another cut of meat, from like maybe beef. Give it a little bit of variety. But this next part, I think, is the part that also kind of daunts people. Is you have all this meat, that you've gotten cut, and it's like, oh crap, what am I gonna do with it? It's not like I'm gonna be able to eat it all at once unless I'm, doing a barbecue or something. And I think that's kind of the beauty of having things like a vacuum sealer is you could take those cuts of meat and just like deep freeze it if you need to. And not even then, you don't really need something like this. You could basically get regular Ziploc freezer bags, which pretty much are at any grocery store, and fill your sink maybe most of the way up with water, and you can just dip it in there, and what that does just naturally pushes the air up, and you can just zip it closed and stick it in the freezer. Yeah, it'll be a little damp, but at the same time it's going in the freezer. You can dry it off real quick, and you're good to go. I am pacing kind of every few seconds just because it takes about 20 seconds or so to let the meat, or let the thing cool down before I can use it again. But I'm kind of have this at 5x5 speed just to kind of move things along, because I'm sure you don't want to sit here and just watch meat be vacuum sealed. And you'll have like that odd one, but save it for you for testing. But yeah, I got like at least 5 days worth of steaks, and then the rest I can kind of do as I may, but I'll stick those in the freezer for later. Yeah, it's quite a difference. 2 hunks of meat that you could pretty much knock down and make whatever you want with it. That being said, I appreciate you guys taking a look, and if you could, like, follow, live free, love life.